Hi there, my name's Ben, and today I want to talk about a quote that has stuck with me for some time. That I first read in a Frank Herbert book, actually, but it was first said by the Danish philosopher Soren Kierkegaard, and that quote is, "Life is not a mystery to be solved, but it's a reality to be experienced." So let's talk about it. I've been thinking about this quote a lot, and I really do like it. I think I agree with it completely. I think we have a tendency to think of life as this, some people tend to think of it as this one big cosmic joke. Some people think that it's mostly suffering, that it's, not the greatest thing to have. I don't necessarily think like that, although I can see how the people who do think that way, how they came to that logic. I have read some crazy good philosophy books as well, where they explain these positions. And I mean, again, I don't necessarily agree with it, but but again, I can appreciate the logic and the different perspective as well. But I really like this because I really am of a mind that, there is no big mystery, there is no big meaning to life. Just even throughout my field of study when I was in university, when I was studying biology, I really loved the evolution aspect of it. And it just goes, the way that life has sort of evolved into these different branches. And I mean, we have all these different forms of life that are carbon-based just here. And I mean, we're discovering new ones every single day. And then, of course, that's the potential. Okay, was there something out there that's potentially also carbon-based? Or that, is there some sort of exobacteria that, isn't carbon-based? Is it arsenic-based? So on and so forth. But I came to sort of the realization of, what does all this mean? Does it even have one? Should I even be asking this question? Is there a meaning to life? And I don't necessarily think that, and I've come to the conclusion now that, not so much that it was a waste of time to think, oh, what's the meaning of life? I'm asking the wrong question. Now, life is not a mystery to be solved, right? A mystery to be solved implies that there's a problem. There's a problem because we haven't solved anything. There's this question that is unanswered. So I'm of a mind that if we approach life as a problem, eventually it starts to become problematic. And if you're looking at life as a problem, then that's that's a very narrow view of life and how and just the living state in general. And I mean, this is probably going to devolve into a hot take, so bear with me. But thinking about the meaning of life, in my opinion, is pointless. And it's pointless because it has the tendency to distract you from actually going out and living your life and doing things that can answer it for you. Essentially, in as many words, I'm of the opinion that you have to generate your own meaning. There's no grand, objective meaning to life. This is what it all means. Maybe that's just the atheist in me talking, but I think that, again, we try to approach life and solve a problem and to objectify everything. We have to say, okay, well, there has to be some sort of objective standard. There has to be some sort of model that one size fits all that can explain everything, because people don't want to have to go through the time and go through it's just more convenient to have one explanation for anything. What's the meaning of life? Okay, great. And that question's answered. We don't have to worry about it. There is always an existential worry that, this could all be for nothing. But I'm also of the mind that, okay, well, if it's all for nothing and someone says, well, okay, well, then nothing matters. I'm very Nietzschean in this regard because when nothing matters, then everything matters. It's carte blanche. You can seize the day and essentially create new values, create new meaning for yourself, and that can help you to, like, you know, get that different perspective on life. And I think it's an easier way to live, rather than having someone tell you, okay, this is how you should be thinking, this is the morality of it. And I understand how it can be physically, you know, very mentally exhausting to have to keep doing this, to have to consistently recreate your own values, to consistently have to be responsible for them. And again, this is where it's starting to devolve into a hot take as well. And that's sort of the problem that I have with religion, because it's morality for dummies. And not to say that religious people are stupid, but they essentially, I'm of the opinion that to follow a religion is to abdicate responsibility over your own value system and over your own morality. And I think, and I should preface this by saying, morality is, again, I find it something completely very boring. You know, is this good? Is this bad? And of course, I'm not a philosopher, so it's a very simplistic way of me to say it. But I just think morality is something that it's like, you know, it's for little kids, right? It's like I'm more interested in stuff that's, you know, outside of it, that's beyond it, that can transcend it, because I think that's much more interesting to consider. So again, going back to it, I think that in order to, like, if you follow a religion, you're abdicating your responsibility for creating your own values. I get why people do it, because again, they can just refer back to, hey, okay, again, this is very simplistic. Look at the 10 Commandments. It's 10 rules that I have to follow. And if I follow them, I'm going to have a solid life. And there you go. It leaves me to be free to do whatever else. So in that sense, it becomes like a routine. And I've made videos in the past about, you know, the importance of having a routine. And I get that. Yeah, it's like, I can understand how the person got there. But I don't agree with where they're at. I think because, if anything, you having the ability to generate your own meaning, to create your own value system, that you have this power within you and this responsibility to do it as well. Almost to abdicate that responsibility would be to not live your life to the fullest. And I think it's because it's a big responsibility, and it's that, you know, that we humans have to be responsible for generating our own meaning. That doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be like, you know, it's a chore and it's boring. No, it can actually be a lot of fun to figure out what exactly gives you meaning. Back to the quote as well, I also think that approaching your life as a reality to be experienced rather than a mystery to be solved gives you a bigger appreciation for the good things that happen, while the bad things that happen aren't due to you, you know, displeasing some sort of higher power. They just happen to everyone in some way, shape, or form. I'm not saying that everyone suffers the same way, or there are some people who can suffer more, some people suffer less. But the fact of the matter is that suffering happens to everybody. We suffer in different ways, and not everything is going to be sunshine and roses. There are going to be some things that happen to you in life that are going to hurt you, that are going to traumatize you, that are going to be thoroughly unpleasant experiences, and that's putting it mildly. However, again, this is my problem with the whole religious aspect of it, because there are people out there who'd say, oh, well, it's God's will or something that, you know, this bad thing happened to this person. And I really can't abide by that. I think it's morally and intellectually repulsive. And I think it's just a wrong thing to be saying, because we don't, like, that's saying that you know more than I do on with regards to this particular topic. And as Christopher Hitchens always used to say, like, who are you to, like, you have this information that clearly I'm not privy to. Like, please, so are you saying that God talks to you? Well, how come God doesn't talk to me? And it's sort of in that sense, it's like almost like, they know better, and sort of turning their nose up at everybody and stating like, okay, well, yeah, like, you know, you're a sinner, that's why it happened to you, which again, it's just such a boring and like overly pompous and puritanical way of looking at it. People can choose to live their life however they want it. That's like, you can force people to do it. Look at North Korea. But I think the better option is, at risk of sounding like, you know, overly American, is freedom. Like, you have to have that free will, and through us having that free will, we have the ability to generate our own meaning and to experience this reality, which is called life. And it's eventually going to end, like it all does. There are some people who are afraid of it, some people who don't want to talk about it. I've had this happen to me in the past, where, you know, if we're trying to talk about that abyss that we all stare at, that we get closer to every single day, and, you know, these people, like, some people will literally turn on you, and they react very, very strongly to being prompted with these types of questions, because they're not ready to speak about it yet, or they don't want to think about it. They want to have that ostrich mentality and bury their head in the sand. And I understand why, but it's not. But again, this is part of the reality that is life. And it's for those reasons that I think, you know, you need to cultivate this perception of life, that it's not some mystery. There's always going to be questions that are going to go unanswered. And if anything, this is something that another one of my really good friends said, just as a little side tangent. It's remarkably pathetic, and I'm paraphrasing now, but it's really pathetic as to how soon the limits of the limits of our brain reach when we're trying to think about, like, you know, about life and about what happens after death and stuff like that. You hit that wall, that barrier where your mind can't go very super quickly. And that's not to say you shouldn't think about it, but at the same time, you have to accept that it's not going. Like, you know, we can't perceive it. We can't perceive it, which means that we can't solve the mystery, if it even is a mystery. The important thing is that this is a reality to be experienced. And so why not experience it? Why would we waste our time thinking about if this has any meaning when we're perfectly capable of generating meaning by ourselves? And meaning can be anything. And that's honestly probably my favorite part about being a human, is that we're able to generate our own meaning, and it can literally be whatever you want it to be. And yeah, anyway, thanks for listening to this and making it this far. So I'm going to turn the question back onto you for getting to this point. Do you think that life is a mystery to be solved? Or do you think that it's a reality to be experienced? Have I completely missed the mark with this take? Or am I getting on to something? If you got answers to those questions, let me know what you thought in the comments below. And as always, thank you so much for watching.